you made in a single year?
About 5.5 mil. The economy is your mind.
Welcome to the first episode of MADEINC. My name is Andre Knight, and today we're in the beautiful city of Kelowna, British Columbia. Our first guest is Jeremy Simmet. He's a 7-figure entrepreneur. Today we're going to learn about his story, his journey of how he achieved what many would call the Canadian dream. Let's go. Jeremy. Wow, good to meet you, man.
Hey, brother. How you doing?
We're blessed still.
How you doing, brother?
Wonderful. How you doing? The flight was actually really nice still. Yeah. Which one did you get first?
So the Urus is what I got first. So that was like my first, pretty much like super car.
Yeah.
And I just always loved the Urus.
Yeah.
Like it was just something that I wanted to daily drive, and I wanted something black. And then instead of putting black wheels on it, I always wanted something that stood out.
Yeah.
So that's why I went with like the 24-inch staggered 24s, and it sets it apart from the rest of them. You know what I mean? You don't see that's how I like to build my vehicles. Is that I don't want to be on the road and it's like, oh, is it him or is it him?
Yeah.
I want to be like, no, that's him.
That's him,
right? I like my stuff to stand out. So this is my Cullinan 22, and I always wanted the white with the Dodger blue interior. So that's what I found with this one.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's
what
it's
a beauty.
Very rare spec.
100%.
To find it. I bought it actually out of Montreal, and then I got it shipped over, and yeah, man, this is like one of my favorites. It's
clean.
It's totally different than the Lambo though. You get like a sport kind of utility drive, like high horsepower, and then this is just like a big comfy couch with 700 horsepower. Yeah, different kind of power, completely different ends of the spectrum, right?
So my question, so check this out. So raw, I'm curious to know, what does raw mean to you and your brand?
Raw, when I created my brand, I wanted something that, because I'm one of those guys that just comes online and tells people what they, like I said, what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. And it's the raw truth, right? Not a lot of people are going to like what I'm going to say, but it's just raw. Right? So that's kind of where it all came from.
Let's check out the big 450.
And then this is one of my businesses that I have had for 15 years, Prosmith Customs. So I build these trucks basically from the ground up. So we do like full paint match. Like usually all this stuff is chrome in the front, the grill, the inserts are all plastic. So everything gets paint matched. Suspension, we just keep it pretty simple. Just like a simple leveling kit. We have our personalized reservoir mounts in there. Paint match to the truck.
So you guys customize and build all of these from scratch?
Yeah, all of them. And then American Force, I do a lot of work with them. So they put our custom center cap as a floater. That cap always stays centered, so you see the logo even when the wheel's spinning, right?
Wow. Prosmith Customs.
Yeah, and then, so we got some sponsors along the bottom of the doors. And then basically, interiors just stay stock. But this is like kind of my workhorse, right? Tow the boat with it, tow all the toys. Gotta have like a mix of everything. You know?
Man, this is the dream lineup for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. 4 to 6 of them a year, depending on what we can get. Yeah. And then we'll build them and then either export them to the States or we'll sell them into Alberta. That's kind of where they all go.
That's dope.
You want to check out the house?
Yeah, let's check out the house. The house.
Oh, the house is crazy, man.
What's this guy name?
That's Percy.
Percy, what up?
So Percy's the butler of the house, but it's a really cool feature of the house.
Pretty impressive, eh?
That's cool, man.
How many bottles? Or how many sections?
I don't even know. Well, it just goes up to there and then it's a mirror.
Oh, okay.
So you'll see how far it comes up.
Never seen anything like this.
Yeah, right.
Does it keep cool or?
It goes down into the basement and then it'll chill it. So then when it comes up, then it's nice and cold. But my favorite spot is probably here.
Yeah.
This whole area in this room, because it's especially in the summertime, you get all the nice breeze and the sun coming in.
You can smell the scripts.
My wake boat, there's a boat lift right in the middle back there.
Yeah.
So I'll probably bring it up like beginning of May. And then there's 2 Sea-Doo lifts on the left side there. Basically like an hour that way.
Yeah.
But then I was always in Kelowna. So I didn't want to, like every time I'd come during the day, it was 2.5 hours of commute.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, it was nice and quiet over there, but my neighbors were all 80 plus. And I just didn't quite fit into the, you know, even like this kind of weather, it's not obviously super warm, but it's just a really nice place to hang out, and it's great for content.
100%. I see you walk the shoreline.
Every morning I walk down this dock, man,
Yeah,
grab a coffee, and
The content, the IG, make sure you follow him on IG. Got some really great, inspiring content for sure.
It's like what I've always noticed is when I first started this journey was I had to really get comfortable being uncomfortable. You know, I was too comfortable. I used to sleep in. I used to, you know, I was hungover all the time, drinking 3-4 days a week, 5 days a week, some nights. And then I would just get my own way of everything, right? So I started getting up and that was something that Wes infused in me was wake up at 4:30. And it was something that I never wanted to do. But you do something long enough for a long period of time, and that starts to become like the new normal, right? So it was like wake up, read, go to the gym. So you're basically setting that tone for the day within the first 2.5-3 hours of your morning, which makes all the difference. And I did that for a good year straight. It's like I felt like a whole other aspect, like level of my brain was unlocked to do something I always wanted to do, but I never really had the brain power to do it. Because it was just clouded. It was always fogged with, you know, drinking, doing blow, partying, hanging out with people that had no goals. And, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And I tell people that all the time, like, you got to get out and meet people.
If you want to get ready to go to the gym, you could head to the gym, get your workout. By the way, I'm going to put in some reps with you.
Yeah, hell yeah. Sweet. Let's do it.
What are you taking?
Rolls.
Okay. So what inspired you to go for the Cullinan?
It's just Rolls Royce, man. Top of the top, dude. Like if I'm going to do something, I do it right. I don't like these guys that half-ass things. And, you know, it's my biggest belief was when I was a kid, my dad always said to me, do it right the first time or don't do it at all. And it's lived with me ever since, because when you do things, you half-ass something, you do it twice. Do you know what I mean? So you might as well just go for the best, go for what you want, and then you're not doing everything twice.
You're right.
Right?
You're right.
And again, it's something that stands out. Like I wanted something that nobody, like I don't even know if there's another Cullinan in Kelowna.
Definitely not this spec.
Sobriety is a superpower, man.
All right, just wrap up lunch and workout was amazing. Now we're going to sit down with Jeremy to dive deeper into his story. Let's go. For those who don't have any idea who you are, who is Jeremy?
Basically, I grew up always wanting, you know, I wanted to be successful, I wanted to be rich, I wanted the cars, I wanted the house, and I was just never knew how I was going to get it. So as I grew up, I half-assed my way through grade school. Never really did much or applied myself to what I could. I then got an apprenticeship with my dad, who owned a large-scale trucking company. So as soon as I got my license when I was 17, he leased me a 5-ton box truck, and I would load that thing up from top to bottom, front to back, full of Samsung products. So flat screens, LCDs, fridges, freezers, and I would actually go up to the interior and I would do 6 or 7 drops along the way. So I do Merritt, Kelowna, Vernon, Salmon Arm, loop around back to Kamloops. So then basically the recession hit in '08 and he ended up selling the company off. And that's when I started Prosmith Customs. So that's where we do paint protection services. We do lift kits, suspension, wheels, tires, tint, PPF. And then I diversified basically into aviation and like a mobile division of that company. So I've had that now 15 years. And then I just kind of, as I got sober, just over a year and a half ago now, I thought, you know what, I need more out of this. So I did a program with my coach out of Miami. I ended up getting sober for the first time in 10 years of abusing myself every single weekend for as long as I could even remember. And when I got sober, it unleashed and unlocked a whole different section of my brain. And I thought, you know what, this is so good, I have to teach this to the world. Because I pulled so much value out of being sober, which I never thought was possible. And I was like, you know what, if I could grab that kind of value, then I can teach this to other men. So I started my coaching business about a year and a half ago. And now we've launched a meal prep company and we're launching a hydrogen infused water company.
Major congrats, man.
Thanks,
I feel
brother.
like this is a lot that you've done in such a short period of time.
And that's what people don't get is that, you know, they think it takes this long amount of time. And when you really dial yourself in and focus and dedicate and stay consistent, it doesn't take long.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like getting in the gym. People want a 6-pack and they think, you know, it's going to take 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, dude, if you dial in your macros, you train consistently, you get some sleep, you take care of yourself, 3 months of anybody doing that, you'll have a 6-pack. Like just no ifs, ands, or buts. And if you don't, you know, they're obviously not doing it proper, they're not being consistent, or they're not eating what they should be. But people see, like, you know, once they start to dial in their body physically, they notice it mentally. And that's why I tell people it's not just a fitness program. Fitness is probably the smallest point of what I do. It's a massive cornerstone of this,
yes,
of personal development, but the whole mindset, the ability to know and believe in yourself that you can do whatever you put your mind to is the biggest thing. And when I see all my guys succeed and start to notice this and their thoughts start to change and elevate, I start to like tell them this is what it's about. Like this is how you can tell that it's working, you know? And then they go on to making more money, fixing their relationships, getting closer with their kids, making more money, like you name it. It's just the possibilities of it are endless.
That's incredible. And you have unpacked so much, by the way, in which we're going to dive a lot deeper into it. And I got to say, major shout out to you. There's a lot of people who have achieved success, and for you to take the time out to be like, you know, I want to share this with other guys. I want to help people after you have amassed so much. It's incredible. And so I want to go back to, you said you used to work with your dad. So I'm assuming your dad played a huge role in your life. What's one of the biggest lessons you learned from your dad?
Growing up, I was always out in the shop with him, or I was, you know, sweeping up or working on cars or working on boats, and everything he would say, and the one thing that always stood out was do it right the first time or don't do it at all.
I love
and
that.
It's stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, that was when I was a kid, probably 7 years old, and now I'm 34 this year, and I still, when I go to do something, that's in my head. So that was, you know, a lot of my drive, a lot of my work ethic has come from my dad. He's always been an entrepreneur his whole life, and, you know, he set a very high standard for himself, and obviously, you know, it resonates into your family, and me being so close with him, I really adapted to that mindset, and it's really ultimately pushed me ahead a lot in business and how I think and treat people and, you know, do certain things in life now.
Yeah.
So it played a really important role in my life.
That's a really great lesson, by the way. So you said after working with your dad, you went on to starting your Prosmith Customs. Like, what encouraged you to actually get into like detailing?
I was obsessed with cars before I could even drive. I bet you I had 10 cars before I could even drive.
Before you have a driver's license?
So I'd buy them for cheap, and I would go with my dad, and he would pick, you know, I remember my first car was a 1983 Cutlass. and it was $800.
Wow.
And we went and looked at it in the dark, and my dad's like, that thing is such a piece. And I was like, I want it. I love that car. And he's like, okay, well, you know, if you want it, we'll fix it up and then flip it and make money, right? That's what I wanted to do. But I kept doing that. And I would honestly buy these cars, and I would just bring them home. I would shine them up. I would wax them. I'd clean the interiors. I'd do all these cool things. And I was obsessed with vehicles since I was a kid. So then when I stopped working with my dad, I basically thought to myself, you know what? I can turn this into a business. And so when I started Prosmith, I wanted to buy a little mobile detailing trailer. I remember my first job made $300 cash, and I was stoked. I'm like, okay, if I can make $300 cash, no tax on this, job. And I do this all day long for, 6-7 jobs, that's pretty good money for
what did you wash for
an 18-year-old. It was like a greasy old dump truck.
Wow.
And it was probably worth more than $300, but I was like, you know what? I felt accomplished. I'm like, I did that. I completed it, to get that money in your hand and to move on to the next one. I was like, this is something that I could grow and scale over the years.
Yeah.
So as time went on, we just kept growing, and we kept adding trucks to the road. We added more employees. And then I really realized that if I wanted to scale it, I needed to delegate a lot of tasks. And that's what a lot of people struggle with nowadays is when they run their own business, they can't be away from it. They're married to it. And when they're not with it, it goes up in shambles. So I was always so envious of the guys who could go on vacation for a month and everything would still function how it normally should. So after, 15 years of trying to figure it out, 14 years, I finally figured out that you have to do what you do best and delegate the rest. And you pay guys well, you take care of your employees. I've had a lot of my guys for 6 to 8 years, right? Because I treat it as a family. They're like my family. They're my brothers. We work hard. We support each other. And I want to see them succeed just as bad as I want to see myself succeed.
Let's backtrack to where you say you started getting jobs. Like I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they start businesses, service-based businesses, but for some reason, they get stuck at just detailing, or they might be busy for one season and then they're inconsistent. How did you keep getting more customers?
Well, that's what I would run into was basically, I kind of thought to myself, the winter, you can't do mobile because everything freezes. Yeah. Even in the shop, people aren't really motivated to get their car shiny because, you drive down the road 5 seconds and it's destroyed.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, if I want to actually grow and scale this, I need to diversify my services, right?
Okay.
So what really triggered that was I'd have jobs come in for paint protection film or ceramic coatings, and then the people would be like, hey, I need to take it here for tint after, I got to go here for wheels after, and they'd have to make 4 or 5 different stops pieces to complete this build. And then I started to have a light bulb go off in my head and think, you know what? I'm just going to create this business to be a one-stop shop. Yeah. And that's what I did. I started offering every service. So wheels, tires, suspension, tint, PPF, ceramic coatings, paint correction, everything you could do to fully customize a vehicle, I offer that now. And that was like my dream shop. Was when I first started, it was called Prosmith Customs. And people were always like, well, what do you mean customs? You're not even customizing anything. And I was like, just you wait.
Yeah, the long-term vision.
Just you wait. So that was my dream, to always build trucks, right? And really give them like that really customized touch.
Yes.
Like I always used to like the big jacked up trucks, the diesels with the big deep dish wheels on them, all paint matched and everything. And that was like a dream of mine.
Man, your story is incredible. And you transitioned from a pickup with a trailer to a shop. Kind of bring us back to how that transition went.
That's kind of how I grew the business. I remember
how did you get
it was called Clifford. It was a 2015 F350 I bought, and it was red. I hated red, but I was like, you know what? This is gonna catch attention.
Yeah.
So I put a big lift kit in it. I put big wide wheels on it, and I would hook it up to my detailing trailer that had a Lamborghini on the wrap. And it just, like, when you looked at it, it was like, I want that guy to detail my stuff. And I really think that's what built my reputation growing into the mobile world, was that marketing? People would have this massive truck and trailer parked outside their house detailing their car. But I really believe in any business, people eat with their eyes, right? And image is everything. No matter if it's a nice truck and trailer or if you show up with a very clean, presentable van. But it's just like the image is what really sells a person on what kind of service you're going to provide them with. If you pull up in a rusty old van with flat tires and missing hubcaps, what kind of job do you think they're going to do on your vehicle?
You're right.
Especially when like we're not really detailing Honda Civics. Like we were doing Lamborghinis, we were doing Ferraris, we were doing Bentleys, we're doing all these fancy cars. So I had to kind of set that standard within the company, so the customer would be like, hey,
you want to work with that guy.
This guy's going to take care of my shit.
You mentioned that you started to delegate. Who was your best hire in the beginning, and what role did you hire them for?
So my manager now is Jason, and he started off just as like a normal wash guy.
Yeah.
And I remember when he started, I think 7 years ago, this other shop we had, the wash pad outside was gravel. So I said, he's like, well, what do I do? And I said, listen, just dunk the mitt in the bucket and wash the car. So the first thing he does is he puts the mitt in the water, puts the mitt on his hands, washing the hood, and all of a sudden he goes to like throw it back into the bucket and it falls off the car into the gravel. And back then I just didn't really have much patience for stuff like that. So I just said, man, like, don't let it happen again. Well, it happened probably 4 or 5 other times, but there was just something about him. I wanted to keep him around. I could tell he like, you know, he had that spark in him that he wanted to learn and keep going. And so over the years, like, I think I hired him when he was 17, and I've just watched him grow throughout that whole time. So now he's my manager. Last year I bought him a new F-150. We put like a nice 6-inch lift in it, all blacked it all out for him. And, you know, I wanted to show him that this is something I can make him a career with. You know, like I want to see him make good money and buy a house and do all these things. So now when I come up to Kelowna and I can hang out here, there's no stress. Like there's no issues. Like he knows now, and I've set that standard with him that unless there's an emergency and the shop's on fire, I don't want a phone call for anything. Like figure it out. You know what I mean? And that's something that I really pushed him and kind of threw him in the fire with to be more resilient with issues and not just to run right to me like, hey, what do I do? And that's really built him into being a man, you know, being a problem solver, and then leading the rest of the team while he's still doing that to be, you know, efficient, make sure everything gets done on time, done to our standard. And, you know, that's something that I really value in him. And it's nice to see.
That's incredible, because sometimes it's rare to find people like that, you know?
It's extremely hard.
Yeah. Now you're delegating a lot of people. How many people do you manage right now?
So it depends on the season, but I will have up to, 8 to 10 guys in certain divisions, depending on the season. But basically, I kind of give guys a 1-week trial period. I don't even give them a month. I basically see, like, is this guy going to care as much about my company as I do? Because that's what you have to look for. You have to look for someone that's going to treat customers' vehicles like it's their own. Yeah. And that's how I would always treat all the customers when I was more hands-on in the shop. Yeah. So now I tend to look at the employee and I say, okay, like, does this guy ultimately, does he take care of himself? Does he respect himself? Does he respect me? Does he, respect clients' cars? Does he have standards? Like all those things in your personal life are going to resonate into your work life. And I never used to look at that before until I realized that how much of a difference it is when you really respect yourself, how it resonates into all areas of your life. So now all my employees don't drink. They go to the gym. They eat proper. They mirror what I'm doing.
You lead from the front.
100%, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
How you do one thing is how you do everything. What made you realize that?
I think just really becoming sober and looking at my life and the situation from a bird's eye view. Like looking at it from the outside in, you really kind of get a totally different picture of what your life was. And I think to myself all the time, like, how did I even live like that? Like, not even for a week or 2 weeks or a month or whatever I did it for. How did I do that for 10 years of my life?
But was there like a specific moment where you could recall where you had that realization, like, yo, because sometimes, some people, it's like a chain of event.
It wasn't really a chain of events, man. It was literally just, I got so sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Before we dive into the specific steps that you take to get to where you are right now, you went from a trailer with a pickup truck to a shop. Now you're offering 5, 6 high-end different services. To now, I see on your Instagram, you're detailing and cleaning $200 million planes.
Yeah.
Like, How did you get into that? Because I know it must be hard getting into aviation.
So aerospace is always a really tough space to get into because it's, very high risk. It's a massive liability. It's not something that they just let anybody come in and start cleaning or protecting or whatever the services we're doing. So basically, since I've started that company, I started with small little planes. Like we used to do small Cessna planes out of private airports in Langley.
Oh, cool.
And we just started working our way up. So we did that for a few years, and then you meet people and say, hey, these guys do good work. Then we'd move up to a bigger airport and we'd start doing, the bigger Cessnas or the twin prop planes.
Yeah.
Right. And we just kept working. And I remember this one day we did this Turbo Beaver for a guy, and it was like an amphibious plane. So basically it was like a really high powered float plane is the best way to kind of describe it. And he had a good connection into a guy at YVR. And he said, hey, my buddy is actually like a pilot with a company at a YVR, and you did such a good job on this that I want to introduce you to this guy. So we started doing our first meeting with him. We ended up getting the contract, but that's what ultimately sparked everything. And once people started seeing like, okay, these, this is what their standard is, this is what the work quality is, this is what we're looking for in this industry, it just kind of blew up. At that time, I still wasn't sober. I was still operating at probably 50% of what I could or less. So I was trying to get these other contracts at the time, and I just kept getting rejected. And I could never figure it out. I was like, why can't I get this? And it wasn't until I got sober and I went back 3 or 4 months after, and I begged the guy for one more meeting. I said, just give me one more chance.
Yeah.
And I went into that meeting with my manager, Jason, and we talked to the guy, and you could tell Jason was kind of looking at me like while I was talking. And he was just kind of like blown away. So after the fact, we got out and, the guy said, thanks very much. I'll be in touch. And Jason kind of looked at me and he's like, man, from when we last talked to him 5 months ago to now, that was a completely different conversation. Just like the vibe, you were actually looking at him in the eyes. You were like, your whole energy towards giving him and providing the best level of service you could was like on point. So an hour later, he actually called and said that the contract, he wants to use us.
Wow.
And that's when I realized that the drugs and alcohol, people don't think how much it affects you. But when it comes down to stuff like that, it's like the trust level and the energy you give off is what people pick up on. Right. And I really think in this life, like you get what you give. Right. And you receive what you put out. And I think I was just putting off such a negative energy about myself that was portraying into my business, and I didn't even know. I was blind to it.
Interesting.
Right.
By the way, that is massive, and how all of that transpired leading you up to that realization. I'm curious to know, a lot of people who are maybe going through their own internal struggles, they probably entrepreneur, they feel like they're stuck at a certain level in their business. What I'm understanding you're saying is that getting rid of things is important to you actually moving forward towards your goals?
Well, life is a subtraction process, right? You got to eliminate the things that aren't pushing you ahead and add the things that are actually going to push you in the direction of where you want to go in life. That's what it is. People always think it's about adding more, but really it's about subtracting and removing the things that aren't going to push you into that direction. That's what people don't understand. It's not about have more money, have more cars, have more houses, girls, whatever it may be that these young guys think is success. It's about removing what doesn't serve you.
Yeah.
And once I started removing everything and everyone who didn't serve me was when everything changed.
Interesting.
It's a very simple concept, and people think there's no way that something that simple is really going to change my life. And it's like, why don't you try it and apply it and then let me know?
You mentioned it's a removal process. I'm pretty sure you lost some friends during the process. Like, how did you deal with those transition with people in your life?
I mean, it wasn't an easy thing to do because, I was around these people for a long time. But again, once I got sober, I realized a lot of everything became more clear that I was starting to do or what I had been doing. I had ultimate clarity, and I thought, these people, you remove the alcohol, you remove the drugs, you remove the party. What is their purpose in my life right now? And I didn't even have an answer. Like, we just weren't walking the same path anymore.
Yeah.
Right? And I just realized that's why they say it's lonely at the top, because it is. It's not, like the bottom is crowded because everyone doesn't really, that's where they want to stay. That's where they're comfortable. That's where their breeding grounds are, right? But once you start to elevate yourself, you realize that less is more. And that's what I realized is that I might not have as many friends now, but the friends that I do have are like my brothers. And, that's a solid trust and a bond that I'll have for the rest of my life. It's not like I have people around where I don't know if I can trust them or, can I do this around them? I can't have those inconsistencies. I have to have, a guarantee and know who I'm surrounded with now is who's going to have my back no matter what.
I love that mindset. You've basically changed your life, and you're at a place now where you're living your dreams. Let's say somebody is an entrepreneur. They're doing okay in their business, and they hit a ceiling. Let's say they hit 6 figures, or they want to break into multiple 6 figures, a million eventually. What are some of the steps that you would recommend them taking?
I think the biggest thing is, number one, like you said, drop the drinks, drop the drugs. Surround yourself with like-minded individuals who are doing what you want to do. Getting yourself in the gym. I say this all the time. I'll never trust a fat business guy. I will never hire someone who's fat because I know the service is what the service is going to be. A fat person can't even take care of themselves. Never mind, how are they going to take care of something they're going to do for me? I just know automatically that service will not be up to my standard, and I will not hire a fat person. I stand behind that. Some people don't like it. I don't really care. That's just what I've known. You go to a fat person and you ask them, okay, this is what I want to do. Can you get this done? There's always an excuse. It's a delay. It's always something why it couldn't be done. Every single time. You go to someone who's fit and in shape, who respects himself, who has the self-respect, who has the accountability, consistency, dedication, all those things, there's never a problem. There's a reason for that.
That's interesting. What's the reason?
Because their personal standards as a man or a woman resonates into their business. And I know that because that's how I live. You know what I mean? My standards as a man resonate into my family life, into my business life, into all areas of my life.
Yeah.
You will never see my car even dirty. Not even if there's a crumb on the floor mat, it's gone within 5 minutes because that's just how I live.
Standard.
That's just how I live through everything.
Did you notice any difference within yourself after you start making a lot more money?
I don't even think the money really did anything for me. I mean, obviously it's nice to have the freedom to be able to kind of go out and buy whatever you want. But I would say that most of my confidence was built with my physical and mental health, to be honest. I used to be very insecure, no confidence in myself. My self-talk was always extremely negative. And those 3 things teamed up are enough to really deplete someone's mental health.
Yeah.
No matter any kind of amount of money is never going to fix that.
Yeah.
If you're not okay internally and happy, nothing external is ever going to replace that for you.
That is deep. You went from detailing, diversify your services. You're at a stage now where you start detailing planes and you're doing all of these things, doing coaching. But I saw you launch a meal prep delivery company. What inspired you to do that?
Basically was when I started getting a bunch of fitness clients on board, a big part of it is macros, right? So a lot of these guys are entrepreneurs, or they're too busy to cook, or they just don't cook. So I had them on with a company with a local girl. And after a amount of time, I kind of said to her, hey, I'm starting to really blow up here, and I'm going to be sending, probably at least 300 clients your way. And she basically said, yeah, no problem. We'll make it work. So within the first 3 weeks, I started getting a bunch of complaints from my clients. Hey, these portions aren't right, or these macros are wrong. And basically, I'm kind of the middleman because I am setting these people up with a proper meal prep service. If I'm already teaching people how to get fit, why wouldn't I just open my own business that feeds people right? In the States, it's like a $4 to $5 billion industry. It's massive. And that's the whole mindset that I had. Hey, if this is a $5 billion industry in the States, what makes them different from us? Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
So out of all the meal prep companies I all tried, everything I hated about those meals, I literally just built this company off of everything I didn't like. I just did the opposite of it. And I just knew if I did that, I would have a successful product that people actually enjoyed to eat. And it was always fresh. And it was, again, it all tied up to the standard that I set for myself. So now we've been in business, I think 3 or 4 months.
4 months.
And we're doing massive numbers. Like we've expanded to the Okanagan already. We've expanded to Vancouver Island, Alberta, all over the Lower Mainland.
After being around you for the day, there's one character trait that I realize is that you make decision really quick. You take action really fast. How important? You know, some people said, I need to think about it.
That is the most important thing, man, because overthinkers are underdoers. And people will think about something so much that they'll actually think themselves out of it. And that's what I've noticed. I don't even give myself a time to think about it. If it's even a thought in my head, I'm doing it. And if it wasn't the right choice, then I guess that's a lesson. But I would rather act on what the thought was immediately, take action on it. And if, hey, 3 months down the road, it was a mistake, then, hey, you know what? It's a lesson. You don't learn a lot of things from success. And that's the problem is you learn everything from your failures. Like I wasn't successful all throughout my 20s and 30s, you know, like it took me a lot of struggling to get to a success.
I love that you made it clear that you struggled a lot to get to where you are, because a lot of people might look at you and think you're overnight success. So I'm curious to know, what was your lowest point on your come up?
I think the biggest thing I ever struggled with was drug use and partying, and just that whole mindset of really being lost within myself, and not having accountability as a man is probably like the scariest thing I could even imagine. Because if you can't own your actions and own what you're doing on a daily basis, you'll be sitting there blaming everyone and everything around you for your weaknesses and failures. And once you come to terms that you can actually just own something and get better from it and grow, is when you'll grow as a person. But I used to just blame everything else on anything I could, because I refused to have accountability. Nothing was ever my fault. Nothing. No matter what the situation was, I was the most stubborn prick ever. And I'd say, no, it wasn't my fault. But really, when I got sober and I looked at my life from a bird's eye view, I realized that everything was me. It was my fault the entire time. All the relationships I ruined, all the heartaches, all the temper tantrums, everything that I really screwed up in my life was all based on my actions.
Have you ever done anything you regret?
The only thing I regret is not getting sober sooner. Like when I say sobriety is a superpower, man, it is, you feel like Superman. You can do anything you put your mind to. And that's what I tell people all the time. They're like, well, what if I fail? Or what if this happens? It's like, what if you succeed though, bro? Like, have you ever put yourself in that mindset instead of just going through this negative narrative in your life? What if it all worked out? What if it all succeeded? What if it all worked out the way you actually wanted it to? And I never thought about it like that. Yeah. But to me, that's such a simple mindset that's very regular in my mind now, because I have to have that kind of self-talk and I have to have that positive narrative in my life to be able to get to the place I want to go.
I really like that you said that. And so let's say somebody is listening to you right now and they feel motivated. You know, some people go to seminars, they might watch a podcast, and they feel amped up and they get this surge of motivation, but then tomorrow comes and that feeling fade. How do you reprogram your mindset?
If you base your life off of just being motivated, you're going to fail indefinitely. You have to infuse discipline. And discipline is always going to keep going when motivation dies. Because discipline is now infused in your brain. It's infused in what you do on a daily basis. And when you know you have to do something every single day for a consistent amount of time to build something that's priceless, that's going to keep you going through the tough times. And like I've said to you before, like people say, I'm not 100% today, I can't do it. I only feel 30 or 40% today and I'm tired or I don't have energy. Like you have to do it regardless of how you feel, And that's one thing that I really taught myself was, if I only have 30% left in the tank at the end of the day and I still got to go to the gym, well, guess what? I'm going to put that 30% into the gym. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like that's what it's all about. Like people live in 2026 in pure comfort. And unless it's really going to make them feel good, they won't do it, which is wrong. You're never going to grow. You're always going to stay in that same little bubble. There's always going to be winners and there's going to be losers. Because there's always going to be people that just are content and happy staying small.
You mentioned your discipline plays a huge role. Like, what are, like, let's say, top 3 things that you do on a daily basis that are super important to your success today? Like, these are my daily musts. Can you break those into 3 things that you do?
I think you really, the 2 top ones are definitely going to be looking after yourself mentally and physically. So that's why I always start my mornings off with reading a personal development book that's going to set the tone in your brain for the day. I always give myself about 15 minutes before the world wakes up. You know, everything's quiet, everything's still. It gives you a moment to kind of just be in your own world for a second. I'll make my coffee and I'll do my workout. So it doesn't involve anybody else. It's just you versus you. There's no competition. It's just you for the first 3 hours in the morning that is really going to shape how the rest of your day goes. And that's what I really learned, of doing something that I really didn't want to do every single day for a long period of time, rewired my mind to knowing that, okay, this is what I have to do every single day to feel this way, to operate in this way, to bring, you know, the highest version of myself to my people. And I can't have it any other way, right? And I think that's a big issue with people these days, is they don't have enough structure in their life. It's very just willy-nilly, like
All over the place.
I'm doing whatever. I'm just going to float through my life, and I can't have that. You know, I need proper routine and structure, and that's what ultimately has built my success.
I love those, by the way. So you're saying, number 1, you have a set wake up time, you read, so you consume personal development books, and workout. Those are 3 powerful. So you're saying that just having those 3
and eating.
action.
Eating is also like, I never understood the power of food. I just thought food is food. You need it to survive and live, and you just eat whatever you want. Until I realized that the food you put in your body is the input, right? And that's going to affect the output of your performance, your mood, how you treat people, how you carry yourself, everything. Really, it's the fuel that your body needs, and our bodies were not designed to be abused. So that's why when I cut out the drugs, the alcohol, the shitty food, all the things that really made me feel like shit, I started to notice massive positive changes because I stopped abusing myself.
I'm starting to see a trend. You're saying it's just really focused on building the person first.
Build the man, then build the business.
I really like that.
Like, there's nobody else that is going to be able to do that. You know, it's not just like a magic wand or a potion you take and it's just everything's fixed.
Yeah.
Like, you have to fix yourself. If it don't scare you, it ain't going to be worth it. It's just like starting a business. People are scared of failure. They're scared of this. They're scared of that. If it scares you, it's going to fuel you. You know, because like I said before, like, it's all about being comfortable, being uncomfortable.
A lot of business owners, they start accumulate money and they talk about the problem. First learn to earn. Some people don't know how to keep it. Most don't know how to multiply it. How is that process for you? Were you always good with money?
No, I was horrible with money because I would just spend every cent that I got. And then I realized that the best investment you can make is within yourself, right? And once I started my initial investment in a coach to kind of open up about myself and learn about personal development and learn all these different things, you 10x your investment instantly. And it really kind of taught me to live in the abundance with money instead of the scarcity mindset. Because I always used to think like, I got to save every penny, and I never wanted to spend it. But I started to learn that money almost has an energy to it. And when you tend to release more of it into the economy, into buying things, into, you know, buying gifts for people or whatever it may be, it comes back to you 10x.
What's the most money you made in a single year?
In a single year, I think I've done about 5.5 mil.
It's really good. So throughout that time, making money, you feel like, hey, I should hoard it. Like, something had to tweak. What was that tweak for you?
The economy is tough at certain times, but I really believe that the economy is your mind. You know, like, people always say to me that, you know, oh, your business is going to slow down and people aren't spending money. And I said, dude, that's the whole point of diversifying. You know, you have all these different avenues how to make money. So I try to create businesses that are recession proof. The auto detail company, customization might slow down, but people are always going to need a clean car. Always. You know, there's lots of people that are weekly, bi-weekly, monthly customers, whatever it may be. Meal prep, people have to eat food. People aren't just going to magically learn to cook or find the time to cook because the economy's bad. Even with the water company, like people are always going to want to hydrate and feel better because of the massive benefits with hydrogen. You know, there's just so many different things that I try to really put into ideas with creating a business that I can still have multiple streams of it, regardless of what's going on in the economy or around me.
So you mentioned multiple stream. I would like for you to touch on, a lot of people might be like, hey, I need to start creating multiple stream of income when they haven't started and have a successful stream. How important is having that one stream successful before diversifying?
I think you need to have the foundation, most definitely. I think, you know, people who haven't really built something crazy solid and then they start adding all these streams, it's not going to be beneficial because you haven't really built that initial foundation, right? It's like building a house, right? If you don't have a solid foundation, what's going to start happening when you build the rest of the house? It's going to start falling apart.
Makes sense.
Right? So what I did with Prosmith was I built it up to a point where I wanted it. I basically delegated a lot of the tasks to employees or managers or whatever it may be. And then it kind of gave me the availability to now work on other streams. So like my coaching business, meal prep business, the water business, all these other things now where I can put more of my focus in because I built that initial foundation, right? Yes. So now I can put more focus into the new business streams.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, like, they don't know or they run out of an idea with a business idea or what kind of business should I start. And starting a personal brand was the best thing I ever did. I was never a crazy big social media guy. Like I had it for the company with cars and trucks that we built or whatever, but I never wanted to put my life on there until I realized that how beneficial it is. And I enjoy making content. Like, I think it's fun to wake up every day and have that almost that fire under your ass. Like, what am I going to talk about today? What am I going to post? Yeah. What am I going to, you know what I mean? Like, it was a really kind of something I needed that pushed me ahead mentally. And now, you know, people are going to always talk and say, oh, you're showing off or you're this, and we don't always need to see your cars. And you're going to have the group of people that are jealous, and that's fine. Or you're going to have the side of people that are inspired. Because if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that's how I always look at people that were successful above me, that I thought, you know what, if he can do it, there's nothing holding me back from achieving the exact same thing.
Let's say somebody's watching this, they're blue collar. They're like, I'm stuck in the service, the day-to-day business. I don't want to put myself out there. What advice would you give them? Because you've technically made the transition from a blue collar to now a creator. You're doing it all.
I think a lot of people can still, you know, have their 9 to 5, you know, like I get it. You have to have multiple streams of income now to kind of live above your means, like to have nicer things, like just to have that 9 to 5 doesn't really pay the bills around here. Like Canada's a very expensive place to live. But I always recommend to people, like, spend 2 or 3 hours a night or even an hour a night and start creating your brand. Because in the meantime, you build up enough people and you build that connection and trust with your followers and you're making friends online and you're networking. You build that up over time, over even a year or 2 years. And now you can go on there and you have 10,000 or 15,000 people, how many followers you have. You can sell any product you want. You can sell any service you want. You could do, you know, pretty much whatever. And that's where I really found the value of an online space, because you could literally take it through to anywhere you want.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on owning, renting, or leasing?
Well, I would never finance a vehicle in my life. That is like the stupidest thing you could do because of the depreciation. Really, unless you're going to keep that thing for 35 or 40 years until the wheels fall off it, you're always going to lose money on it. So I say with a lease, no matter what I have, my wake boat, my side-by-sides, my Rolls Royce, like you name it, whatever I own is leased. Because at the end of the day, it's only a 10% investment down. You're skipping the depreciation. You get the business write-off. And 9 times out of 10, I buy things that I'm going to turn a profit on. So after 2 years, I usually get sick of things within a year or two, especially vehicles. And I buy things that I know I could sell for a profit. So basically at that point, you sell the car or whatever it is for the buyout. And whatever's on top of the buyout is your money.
Interesting.
Right? So now you build up equity over, I've probably been doing that since 2015, and I've done it with maybe 50 or 60 trucks.
Really?
So you think about that kind of equity compounded over how many years, you got good money there.
I've never known that. Interesting.
And to be honest, like, it all depends. Like, I own a property and I rent property. So it really like depends on an interest rate. So it all depends. Like, same thing with owning a house. It's almost like financing and leasing a car. Like, I think with a purchasing a home, you may make money down the road, right? It's going to be a longer term investment, unless you walk into something where it's, you get something cheap and, the market shifts and you can make a quick couple hundred grand or whatever. But you got to be expected to kind of play the long game with it, with real estate, right?
Okay. Let's say somebody in their 30s is watching this, or early 20s, and they're like, in the next 5 years from now, I want to be in a position like you. What advice would you give to them, too? Basically, you're talking to your younger self.
Basically, if I was talking to my younger self, I would get sober immediately. Because like I say, sobriety is a superpower. I would surround myself with like-minded individuals because your vibe attracts your tribe. I would really focus on personal development, mentally and physically. So really start learning, about yourself internally, how you can fix it, how you can grow from it, how you can elevate. And then the physical aspect, like, get yourself in the gym. You look good, you feel good. I say that to people all the time. You have to kind of have that whole package, right? And when you really add all those things together, they really compound into something huge. And before you know it, after doing that for a consistent amount of time, you created something that is priceless. And a very small percentage of the world actually attains that. So you almost become elite, right? You are the elite of the world, because it's just so rare, the number of people that have enough self-respect to actually really take care of themselves and set that standard for them on a daily basis.
Really great advice. Where do you see yourself in the next 2 to 3 years?
I want to be living on a Caribbean island somewhere with a helicopter and a private jet.
I like that.
The beautiful thing about what I do is I can help people wherever I am in the world.
A lot of people talk about success. What does that mean to you?
I really don't think that success is anything external. I used to think it is, and I think a lot of people still do think that if someone has a nice car or a nice house or they have money, that's success. But I truly, really believe that success stems from you as a person and what your impact is on this world. Like, if you're not helping other people, if you're not, being selfless, right? Like, that's just how it is. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that how you carry yourself, look at yourself, and what people kind of portray you as is a major success of life. And the cars, the money, the house, all that thing is just a bonus. People don't understand that you have to become the person who can hold that lifestyle together. There's a lot of people that have it, but they can't hold it together because they haven't built them as one yet. You
have an amazing story, my friend, and the advice is incredible. I'm pretty sure a lot of the viewers watching this is... By the way, I want you guys to share what is your number one takeaway from this interview. And before we wrap it up, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to...
Of course, brother. Thanks for coming.
...accommodate us and sharing your story with the world. By the way, guys, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We have something special we want to share with you. Before we go, as a token of our appreciation.
Thank you, brother.
Check it out. I saw you in the gray. I see you like the gray.
Yes, sir. Oh, beauty, man.
Yeah, man. We got you the MADEINC, the Build to Represent Success edition.
Represent.
Yeah, man.
Thank you, brother.
100%.
Oh, appreciate it, man.
Thank you.